What's good, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters, Neafe, GXR7, Tools of Trecticon, Jesse Rain, Salosi, Philip J. Smith Jr., Paris Hardy, OMGino, Acolyte, Dracoda185, and Marvelous. Thank you very much for your support, and if you want to support us on Patreon, feel free to check out the link down below in the description to find out more. Thanks again. You ever had deja vu?
Yep.
Yeah.
In that deja vu, did you ever die?
No.
Nope.
That's actually what I hear the inspiration for this was. The original creator had deja vu, or he thought it was deja vu, where he died. What's up?
I thought I had a drink. He had deja
vu, or he felt like he had deja vu, and in that bout of deja vu, he died. And he thought, what if that was a way, like, you could experience deja vu where you died and you could change your destiny? And you could change things to where, you know, you would effectively owe the Reaper a death.
That's weird because deja vu doesn't work like that to me.
Yeah, no, it's always like
you have it after the fact that something happened.
And then I realize, oh yeah, I remembered that happening before it happened.
Well, yeah.
And so if you died, you'd be like dead, going back. Oh, I remember.
No, but in your last bit before you die, I mean, your life is leaving you, and then all of a sudden you flash right back to where you were. It's like,
I feel like this sounds more like he had deja vu and then immediately had like a bit of like a panic attack afterwards.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
he did. I don't know, but that's what I hear.
A chaotic brain fart.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. His inspiration was for this series, the Final Destination, the first one, with young Hollywood heartthrob at the time, Devon Sawa, and still the very attractive Ali Larter, who was sporting, a brunette, who's being a brunette in this film, which is weird because I'm always used to seeing her as a blonde. And then, of course, you had Stifler and then
Don't hate on Stifler.
I ain't hating on Stifler. I love Stifler.
I love Stifler.
Stifler's probably my favorite part of the American Pie movies.
He was hilarious.
Yeah. I remember, like, the second movie where they actually made him a more pivotal part in the movie, I was like, yes, thank you. Because they really were. It's like, actually, there's someone else coming with us. And then they cut to the Jeep going across the bridge. He's standing up in the back, like humping into the cockpit. He's like, Stifler's coming to town, baby. Lock your doors and hide your wives. I'm gonna get my dick wet. Woo!
Those movies get so much shit now.
They do, but who gives a shit?
I've never really been a big fan of them.
I always liked them. I mean,
I felt like
1 and 2 and Reunion are my favorites.
There are a lot of other underrated movies that I feel like are in a similar genre to those and a similar niche, like that appeal to similar people.
Because that was the revival of a genre.
Yeah,
that was the '80s teen sex comedies brought into the
modern
era. And I feel like there are so many others that are better
age.
than that are underrated. So.
A million times. There's many of them. A lot. Like I said, I mean, it's a whole genre of movies that were before it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Porky's
National
alone.
Lampoon.
National Lampoon. I mean, Animal House.
Porky's is fucking hilarious.
Porky's is the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Porky's. I saw that movie so many times growing up. I almost got sick of it, but then I realized it's Porky's. How can I be mad at Porky's? This is the shit. And of course you had
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Private School. I mean, there's a bunch of them, and they're all hilarious. But you have to realize when you're watching them, when they were made, not only that, but it is a fucking joke. It's a joke. It's not to be taken serious because people will act like these movies are supposed to be what you should center your moral compass around, and it's
not.
It's a joke.
They you know what they need to do just to prevent that from happening? It probably still will happen, but right before the movie begins, like, someone comes on screen, like someone, like, I don't know, Bill Burr. Bill Burr comes on, he's just like, hey, just so you know, this movie's a joke. It's not meant to be taken serious. So before you go off writing one of your vlogs or blogs on the internet about how they're mistreating all the ladies, it's a joke. continue.
Yeah,
that's what needs to happen. Every time there's a
Absolutely.
comedy movie that has something risque in it, just so nobody is just like, oh my gosh, this is such a horrible representation, and it's such a example of how America's such a sexist, like, bigoted place. Oh, I'm like, shut the hell up.
But the girls are wild in those movies too. It's
They
not just
are.
the guys being too much. And
Yeah.
it's just,
God.
yeah, they're great. I think
Yeah.
they're hilarious.
Yeah, it's just everybody gabbing and trying to make themselves the center of attention. It's a
I'm sure
movie,
they've got
guys.
some heat on Final
They
Destination
probably
too.
did.
It's old enough to have something to be offensive in it.
Yeah, I guarantee you, like, some prosperity preacher was just like, this movie is about children making a deal with the devil to avoid death. And I'm like,
Lord have mercy.
and I'm like, that's not even close to the did you even
Pokemon
watch-
are satanic.
Yeah, yeah.
Pokemon
They
games
have to
teaches
do with
kids how to
alchemy and
gamble.
the elements and witchcraft.
And evolution.
And them slot machines, that's gambling.
Yeah,
You want
of
your
course.
kids gambling?
Yeah. Whatever. Sheesh. All right. Well,
Final Destination's one of those kind of movies where the first one, when I first saw it, I was like, that was pretty cool. And I was like, oh, God, they're still going. And it's
well,
like,
actually,
stop.
I will say this: 1, 2, and 3 are actually. I think those 3 together are pretty damn good.
2 was still not bad. 3 was where I started to be like, all right, this is getting a little bit redundant.
Fair enough. The 4th one, I was just like, no. And the 5th one, I thought the 5th one was going to be terrible, but it turns out the 5th one's my favorite. I kid you not, dude. I watched the 5th one just going into it like, all right, let's see what.
It's kind of like
Wait.
Saw for me.
I actually like these characters, and I like this. Wait, what the hell's going on here? I don't like this, but I do. Damn it, I'm so confused. And then by the end of the film, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I didn't notice that. Which
So that's like Saw. It's like the first Saw is a fucking masterpiece.
No doubt.
In my opinion, anyways. I know a lot of people
No
don't
doubt.
agree with me, but
Well,
2 and 3 are all right, but they didn't use the same kind of good filmmaking techniques I feel like the one took advantage of.
well, yeah, because they had James Wan.
4 and 5 are garbage.
Yeah.
And then 6 is pretty fucking legit. And then 7's okay. It's an okay finisher to a series that shouldn't have lasted for 7 fucking movies.
Should have been 3. Should
Yeah.
have been 3. They should have just said, hey, James Wan, will you do at least 3 of these films
If it
for
was
us?
5 and 4 and 5 were left out, it would overall be a pretty solid series, in my opinion. But 4 and 5 just being as garbage as they are makes it kind of
Yeah, 4 is where I
lackluster
fell
as a
off the
series.
train.
So
4, I watched 4.
yeah,
And
4
I'm just
was
like,
where I was just like,
I just don't care.
they need to stop.
It's like, yeah, all this stuff about, Jigsaw's plan, all that, and I'm thinking I really don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
It's like,
I stopped giving a shit after 3. I was like, he's fucking dead. I was like, that. I mean, spoilers if you haven't seen Saw, but it's not that important of a franchise, anyways. But like after 3, it's just like, what the fuck? Where are you going from here? And it's just like they kind of bring it back in 6, and it's like, all right, I kind of see where they're going from there, But
yeah.
still, it's a little much.
And
It's a little ridiculous.
well, and the Final Destination films for me, that was sort of the same thing. 5 to me is the best one because it pulls the rug out from under you of what you expect and gives you something you definitely did not expect. And going back and looking at it,
Might have to check it out then.
yeah, oh, dude, definitely. 5 is definitely worth it. And
So
by
I think
the
I
end of it-
stopped after watching 4, and I was just like, I ain't
Yeah.
gonna watch any more of
yeah,
these.
I thought the same thing too. And then my dad was just like, you know what, son? They're saying this is going to be the last one. I'm like, right.
Yeah.
Which
exactly.
it was. Turns out 5 was the last one.
I thought they made 6 of those.
No, they made 5. 5 was it. They talked about making a 6th one, but it never materialized.
Weird.
But yeah. Anyway, we got this queued up here. Let's get it on screen and let's see what good old James A. Janice himself has got to say about Final Destination, the original Final Destination, starring Devon Sawa.
Yeah, because 4 was supposed to be the final destination.
Yeah,
And then they made another one.
Yeah, which
That was another reason I didn't watch 5. I was like, 4 was supposed to be the final one. Fucking stop.
Like Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
kind of.
I was like,
except
Final
the
Fantasy's
gameplay
been final
actually-
since the first one, though.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy games, they keep going, man. Because honestly, why not?
Well, it's
Have
like
I
Persona.
told-
It's always a different story. So
have I told my dad's Final Fantasy story on here yet? Where I tried to get him to buy it for me. I was like, Dad, I want Final Fantasy 7. He was
Oh
like,
no!
Final Fantasy 7? Don't sound like final shit to me.
That sounds like your dad. Verbatim. It sounds like hearing him and being around him a little bit. I'm like, yeah, that actually sounds exactly like him.
That's fucking
God
awesome.
have mercy.
Pulled a Hank
It's like
Hill.
Final Destination has been the final one since the first one too.
Yeah, which I'll be honest, watch 5 and just it pulls shit you don't expect. And going back and watching it through a second time, I'm like, I can't believe I didn't notice that. And it's brilliant. But let's see what James. Yeah, let's see what James says about the first one. Here we go. Yeah.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we
Hi,
tally up the
James.
victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James H. and today we're finally starting the franchise.
I
that
see
so
what you're
many
doing
of
back
you
there
have
with
been
that
waiting
fan
for, Final
and those
Destination,
knives.
beginning with the original film from the year 2000. Final Destination is a film that asks what happens when you escape death. Its answer is that death comes for you. The film's screenplay was originally written by Jeffrey Reddick, based on one of his own spec scripts for an X-Files episode. After New Line purchased the film, they brought on director James Wong and producer Glenn Morgan, who together rewrote Reddick's original draft. The final film was further altered after test screenings by New Line founder
Not to be
Bob
confused with
Shea,
James Wan, by the
Michigan's
way.
own, who had found success years earlier producing the Nightmare on Elm Street films. With all those cooks in the kitchen, Final Destination kind of ended up being a horror film by committee, and it sometimes feels that way with all the weird little asides and disjoint tangential ideas that never really add up to anything. The idea at the
Tony
core
Todd,
of the
I
film,
know,
however,
but
was a
still.
powerful one that resonated with
He'll always
audiences
be the Candyman.
and would lead to the production of 4 sequels, each made a few years apart from each other, and with the last 2 filmed in glorious 3D. That core idea, which would be repeated in every installment, is all about death getting even. In each film, one character's graphic and detailed premonition allows a small group of people to escape a major catastrophe that would have otherwise killed them. The premonition disasters are a hallmark of the series and usually do a great job exploiting common fears like flying, automobile accidents, roller coasters, and going to NASCAR races. The survivors who
That one, yeah.
That's just
thereby
absurd.
cheating death, then begin to die in the order in which they were supposed to. And they don't die in any old way either. See, in the Final Destination series, it turns out that death, kind of a little schemer. And instead of just making these people's hearts give out on them or anything, death sets up elaborate mousetrap-like chain reactions that oftentimes lead to an unusually violent death. These graphic Rube Goldberg kills are the other hallmark of the franchise. And as to be expected, they grow more and more grotesque as the series continues, which, yes, will mean some censoring in the public releases of these episodes.
Yeah.
While explicit versions will be available for patrons. Sorry, man, it's just how it goes. How many kills
YouTube's a
will Death
bitch.
score in this first film, which seems so quaint compared to what's to come? Let's find out and get to them. The movie begins with a thundery, rainy title card. The opening credits play over cryptic images of
Shirley Walker. I didn't realize that she did the music for this. You know what music that she's famous for? You can thank her for the Batman the Animated Series theme.
Oh, badass.
Damn.
That was her.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Shirley
man.
Walker.
Very cool.
hanging dolls and oscillating fans as someone gets ready for a trip to Paris. That someone is high school senior Alex Browning, played by Devon Sawa during the 2 or 3 years he was a hot commodity. Although maybe we're about to get a Sawana-san, since Devon stars in the upcoming film The Fanatic alongside friggin' John Travolta and directed by Limp Bizkit's own
Yeah,
Fred
I
Durst.
really want to see that, by the
What?
way.
Superstitious.
If you haven't seen the trailer for it,
No!
it looks awesome.
Holy shit!
You gotta leave that on. Tell you, man, the last flight without the plane crashing or anything, so I figured it's gotta be on the bag, or at least with the bag.
Pretty paranoid there, but I can't hate this guy when he's got a Buck Cherry poster hanging in his room. They were the first band I ever saw live, and I don't care what you say, that first album was a banger.
It was.
Alex goes
It
to
was,
the
not
airport,
gonna lie.
where we meet some of his classmates who will also be going to the City of Lights. First, there's resident fuckboy Carter, who's played by Kerr Smith, who would go on to be in My Bloody Valentine 3D. Carter's got
That's
a
right,
girlfriend
he was
named
the
Carrie,
sheriff.
who doesn't do much other than make out with him, and he likes to spend his time bullying nerds like this hockey jersey wearing kid named Billy Hitchcock, played by Sean William Scott. Yep, as you will come to hear, Carter's a dick.
Let me give you a hand with this, man. No,
Yeah, you
Cardi, you dick.
There's also the obvious love interest for Alex, a girl named Clear Rivers, played by Ali Larder. You can tell she's a squiggly lines intellectual because she walks through the airport reading Henry frickin' Miller. Alex's best friends, though, are a pair of brothers named Jordan.
Yeah, except
Todd.
I've never seen a
Todd
nerdy
is
girl
played by
that's
Chad
an
Denella,
intellectual
who would go on
like
to be
that
an
wear a
obnoxious
fucking
piece of
midriff
shit
revealing
character
shirt.
in the
Yeah.
obnoxious piece of shit movie Saw 3D.
You crazy. I knew you were crazy the minute I laid eyes on you. Crazy.
But in this movie, he's not so much a piece of shit as he has to take a shit. And he and Alex are so tight that they're bona fide pooping partners. Although they ain't singing together like Demon and Anita, their pre-flight dump does feature some music, since the radio is playing Rocky Mountain High by John Denver.
During a plane crash.
Uh-oh. A coincidence like that is sure to freak out the superstitious Alex right before he boards Bully Flight 180.
Your birthday is the same as your departure time. September 25, 9:25.
And, I guess that coincidence will freak him out too? But wait, Alex, what are you freaked out about here, man? That's just a flight status board. It's useful information. Alex gets worried about a ton of things in this movie, which are always presented with foreboding push-ins and bass tones. But everything's so innocuous, it's hard for me to take it seriously. Like, that's just a plane, Alex. It's not ominous. It's just 20th century travel technology.
I think it's more the
They
storm
board
he's
their
worried
flight
about.
and feel reassured of its safety by the sight of a crying baby.
That's a good sign. Younger the better. Be a fucked up guy to take down this plane.
Oh, that's kind of dark, but I guess it's a solid line.
A really fucked up god.
Okay, that one might be in bad taste though. Alex takes his assigned seat, but is asked to switch spots with one of these generically attractive early 2000s chicks. He does, and although his new seat is next to Todd, its tray latch is broken, and you know the airline ain't gonna do a damn thing about that. The plane's takeoff is smooth at first, and everybody cheers. But things take a tumultuous turn real damn fast, and pretty soon those oxygen masks are popping out of the overhead. But hate to tell you folks, a little bit of extra airflow ain't gonna help when a fire starts on board and a whole row of seats get sucked out the side of the plane. Holy shit! Another fire burst spreads through the cabin, and we watch Alex's face cook for a nice hot minute until he finally wakes up back in his original seat on the plane, those she's all that looking chicks asking him to switch again. Alex quickly determines that his dream was more like a premonition, and he calmly explains everything he just saw to the others on board.
Fucking plane getting exploded!
Alex
Oh, calmly. Yeah, right.
A riot! During the commotion, a handful of students are removed from the plane, along with both teacher chaperones. Todd leaves his brother George to go check on Alex, and Clear opts to remove herself voluntarily, since things are getting so spooky. The pilot bars all of them from his plane, but since both French teachers are here, they convince him to let one of them back on board to chaperone the rest of the class headed to Paris. Although Larry Murnau offers to stay, Valerie Luton insists he go ahead, so she stays behind as he reboards the plane. Alex tries explaining himself, which only leads to another fight with Carter, and while they scuffle, Billy watches out the window as the rest of his class heads to Paris.
There they go. Here we stay.
Yep, there they go, alright. Flight 180's explosion somehow breaks the airport windows, which I would like to see myth busted, please. And just like that, we've got a new kill count record. The movie will later give us a number to use when it reports that 287 people died on Flight 180.
All 287 passengers are feared dead.
See? As far as premonition kills go, I won't be including them on the kill count because they're just visions. And besides, the same people end up dying for real later and getting counted anyway.
Spoilers.
As you might expect, everyone is immediately suspicious
everybody's
of
already seen
Alex,
this movie.
even though he rightfully claims he didn't cause the explosion to happen. Dude, just be happy this was pre 9/11, or you'd probably
Oh, that's right.
I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, did this happen before 9/11?
This did come out before 9/11. Holy shit.
Yeah, if you started yelling about the plane gonna explode after 9/11, you would be in prison.
If this came out, imagine if this came out right before 9/11, people would be flipping the fuck out.
It ruined the D12 album.
You're right.
It sunk that one to the bottom.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
It did.
Oh.
At the height of Eminem's popularity, it still sunk that. And it wasn't a bad record, in my opinion. But yeah, it definitely tanked because everybody was in mourning. They didn't want to hear, "Where's the 40 ounce?"
Yeah, no. Right. Well, dude, everyone just overindulged themselves on like 24-hour news channels because they were looking for something.
But it also boosted Ryan Adams' career with the New York song that he did.
That's right. Yeah. I mean,
Is
and
that
also,
some Final Destination shit? Maybe.
Hey, we also don't forget, man. We also got some Alan Jackson bullshit out of that.
That's true.
Remember when?
Yep.
Sorry. If you're a fan of that song, by all means, but you know why he did that song.
Yeah.
You know why. All right.
Pandering.
Sorry. Someone had to say it. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, back at it.
Way down to Gitmo. Even pre-Patriot Act, though, the FBI is obviously getting involved, and two bland dudes in suits introduce themselves as Agent Wayne and Agent Shrek. Yep, Agent Shrek. The DreamWorks movie came out 2 years later, in 2001, thereby making this character retroactively hilarious. Fun fact, though, Agent Shrek is named after Max Schreck, who played Count Orlok in Nosferatu, and many other characters are also named after classic horror film creators. You got Alex Browning, who comes from Todd Browning, director of Universal's 1931 Dracula. Agent Wayne, who comes from Robert Wayne, director of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And of course, Billy Hitchcock, who comes from Alfred Hitchcock, director of like a billion movies, including The Birds. These feds are also suspicious of Alex, but they're unable to learn anything during their questioning, except that Val Luton feels guilty for sending the other teacher back onto the plane. Survivor's guilt, man. It'll get you. A month later, there's a funeral service for Alex's classmates, and in their honor, the school uncovers a statue of a bird? Really? Maybe you should have gone with something that doesn't remind people of flight. At the service, we see that everyone's got a different reaction towards Alex. Clear thanks him for her life, Billy believes that he's a full-blown psychic, and Ms. Luton is literally repulsed by him.
Don't talk to me, you scared the hell out of me.
As for Carter, he's still got no love for the Sawister, and instead decides that his survival has left him untethered to the mortal realm.
I'm never gonna die.
The worst fallout for Alex, though, is that Todd's dad blames him for the death of Todd's brother George, so the Poopin' Pals are presently off limits to each other, no longer allowed to defecate as a duo. And so, that night, Todd is forced to take a solo squat in his bathroom at home, never noticing the drippy valve leaking behind his porcelain throne. For some reason, he tries to shave his non-existent facial hair only to cut himself before a cloudy image appears behind him in his mirror, portending the fatal disaster that awaits him. Look out, Todd, that leaky water's coming at ya, and it's blue for some reason. That's weird. Over at Alex's house, the other excommunicated poopeteer is just about to engage in a little tuggy session when he instead uses his smut to scare away a voyeuristic hootie-hoo. His penthouse gets caught up in the fan, and he's left with a warning sign from fate, or whatever. Todd! But it's too late for
Wait, pause.
Since death...
Yeah.
He missed a joke.
What joke?
He used his hooters to scare away a hooter.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Voyeuristic hooter-hoo was pretty
good.
Complex.
Yeah, it was.
I like that. I like that. That was a good joke.
Yeah, it was.
Voyeuristic hootie-hoo.
Yeah.
It's like use the hooters to scare away some hooter. Use some hooters to scare away a hooter.
Yep.
Or you could use hooters to scare away a voyeuristic hooter-hoo.
Ooh.
You just
combine the two. Yeah, that would work.
There you go.
That would work a lot. That would work.
I'm from fate.
Also, look at those monkeys behind him.
I remember those.
The barrel of monkeys.
Yeah.
I remember them from Toy Story.
It's a throwback.
They were trying to get Buzz back, and all of a sudden you see the monkeys going down, and you just hear them like, woo, 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 woo.
19 years ago, this is where we were at, people.
Yes, this is where we were.
We were doing that.
Or whatever. Todd! But it's too late for Alex to save Todd, since death has already caught up to him in the form of a slippery fall into a clothesline. The mechanics of it wrapping around his neck are a little wonky to me, but at least there's this cool image of his eyes becoming bloodshot. Todd struggles for quite some time, but he's unable to save himself, not with scissors nor with traction. Todd dies in his bathtub with a clothesline around his neck, while death covers up its tracks. Wait, what the fuck? Why is Death cleaning up the evidence here? It's not like you're gonna get arrested, Death. That's literally the one and only time something like this happens in the entire series. But part of me will always wish that we got a series where Death was just a shady 2-bit criminal who had to cover up its own deeds. Anyway, Alex runs over to Todd's house, and although he's too late to save his friend, he is just in time to look shady as fuck to FBI agents Shrek and Donkey. Alex goes to talk to Clear. He's taking a break from reading Tropic of Cancer to weld stuff in her garage. Her metalwork pieces that she shows off to Alex include a statue of Billy the Answer Head from Figure It Out.
Who's the springy head guy?
It's you.
Oh, never mind. I guess it's supposed to be Alex. And Clear says she made it because she feels some kind of emotional connection to him.
4 years of high school, we haven't said one word to each other. At that moment on the plane, I felt what you felt.
This is one of those half-baked ideas that I think kind of muddles up the movie. But because of Clear's feeling mabobs, she knows that Alex feels like death is still around them.
It just feels like it's all around us.
Is it something that you're feeling?
Alex feels like he'd know his feelings better if he was able to feel Todd's body. Feel it spiritually. Not like a weird thing. So the teens decide to break into the local funeral parlor to pay Todd's corpse a visit and see if they can feel any answers out from it. At the funeral home, they encounter the coolest motherfucking mortician this side of a closed casket funeral. Tony fucking.
Did he just walk out of a cave?
Hell yeah.
Yes, he did.
With an awesome
Well, actually, I think that's where the cremation of it is.
In a cave?
Down, yeah, well, of course.
I
why
mean,
not?
so.
look, man, it's like
Yeah, let's go back to it.
casket.
it's like the Black
They
Bruce
encounter
Wayne
the
coming out of the
coolest
Bat Cave.
I'm Black Man.
I mean, it's a cave,
Damn
dude.
it. Yeah. That very much looks like a cave.
It does. I guarantee you he rolls him down there. I think that's where he rolls him down to.
Dude, if I ever like become like a mortician, because that's something I've played with the idea of if I ever have the money to go to school for it,
Yeah.
and I get to build like my own like funeral parlor, I'm totally gonna have a cave that leads down to the cremation.
You should.
Yeah, you should. Dude, I would. I mean, honestly, I would.
I wouldn't, but
What?
to each their own. When I was in the Navy, that was actually a job as a hospital corpsman. There were morticians as well.
Oh,
like
man.
but there's only like 4, I think, in the whole Navy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
So you see most of the people that got
Yeah,
wrecked.
but you're also like one of the men, like it's a very prestigious thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy is probably the coolest character in the entire series. Not gonna lie.
Dude, I loved Candyman.
Dude, Tony Todd is
It
just awesome.
scared the shit out of me.
Candyman.
I saw it later on after I'd seen a lot of other horror movies, so it didn't really scare the shit out of me, but it was definitely a cool movie.
Man, I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw it in like 96. I was like 7.
I can't wait to see Jordan Peele's produced version of Candyman.
Yeah.
Are they using the same guy?
No, I think no, but he is going to make an appearance.
I hope.
Yeah, I think
Well,
they
it's
said
just
he
the
has a
thing is
cameo.
he's too old now.
Yeah.
He's too and they're wanting a really physically active Candyman.
Oh, okay.
And as much as I'd love to see him as like a big lumbering Candyman who just like stalks you, grabs you by the top of your head, and just like pulls like this side of your throat out, like yeah, I'd be up for that. But as it is, I mean, I think they announced who was going to play him, but I forget what it is now. I'll look it up later. But yeah, this guy is my favorite character of the entire series.
This side of a closed casket funeral. Tony Fuck Yes Todd plays Bloodworth, a character with an awesome name that's only given in the credits. And as to be expected, Mr. Todd tears this scene the hell up as he tells the kids that their friend's death wasn't a suicide, as it had been ruled and reported, but it wasn't an accident either.
In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes.
Bloodworth tells them that death has a design, and by walking off that plane, Alex and his pals cheated death, but only temporarily. Now Death's drawing up a new design for everyone who escaped. And although Alex wants to figure out and defeat Death's new plan, Bloodworth tells him that there are risks to cheating the Grim Reaper.
And you don't even want to fuck with that McDaddy.
That's always been another weird line to me. I've never figured out exactly what Tony Todd is talking about there, but whatever. I'm just happy to have him in the scene.
I'll see you soon.
Not soon enough, Mr. Todd. Alex tells Clear that from now on, they need to be looking out for omens of death. Kinda like that reflection in the window of a bus that isn't really there. But you know who is actually there? Carter, whose driving is just as dickish as his pedestrian behavior.
Carter,
dick! All of a sudden, all six of the
a
remaining
Nova
survivors
SS,
find
yeah.
themselves together outside of a coffee shop.
What the
Coincidence
hell?
or something spooky?
Yeah.
The usual bickering gets underway until Terry tells Carter and Alex to knock it off.
They died and we lived. Get over it.
Yeah, get over it. Like this bus
Boom!
over Terry's
Man.
body. Boom! These suddenly hit by a vehicle kills are kind of common nowadays.
Look
but I
this
remember
out.
being floored by this kill the first time I saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Almost as floored as Terry's body after that bus hit her. Zing. And I wasn't the only one rocked by it either. Test screen audiences took so long to calm the fuck down after that kill that the filmmakers literally had to add 40 seconds of inconsequential chill out footage where Alex and Clear both make Alka-Seltzer drinks. That's why that weird little scene is in there. Alex continues trying to figure out a pattern to these deaths, and he comes across a new clue when an unlikely graphic in a news report shows, in detail, the path of destruction on the plane after its fuel line caught fire. A little of this, a little of that, and holy moly, we've got a convenient itinerary of death that Alex can follow to determine the pattern.
Die in the order they would have died. That's death's design.
And according to Death's design, Ms. Valerie Luton is next. Ms. Luton is currently packing up her house so she can move to a new town and start a new life. But not if the invisible breeze of death has anything to say about it. Careful, Ms. Luton, death's even in your teapot. Spooky! I do think the shadow reflection stuff is kinda dumb, but not as dumb as Ms. Luton's behavior after she pours herself some hot water for tea. What the fuck was that? I guess she got spooked because the mug has the high school's logo on it, but it's never really played well to me, and in fact, this entire convoluted setup for her death feels pretty forced and clunky. Ms. Luton cancels her tea and instead pours herself a beverage that's cold and hard. The change in temperature cracks the mug, which leaks out a trail of vodka on the floor before some of it seeps into her computer monitor. Things kick into high gear when the monitor explodes, catching Luton in the neck with some glass and starting a fire that follows her along the vodka trail. And listen, I know that's a handy trope for writers, but liquor isn't flammable unless it's 100 proof or higher, and most vodkas are only
80%.
Maybe
Yeah,
this
exactly.
would be believable if Luton was knocking back some 151, but she wasn't, so it isn't. The fire spreads to the
Or you
kitchen.
could have done Wild Turkey 101.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot more. I know vodka's a lot.
Did you just make a suggestion?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just check.
Yeah, made a suggestion to improve the continuity of the film. And also maybe give a little bit of a hint of what is to come.
That is a good factoid to learn, though, because, I mean, just in case we ever make anything, like, we'll have to keep that in mind.
Well, yeah, dude, anything 100 proof or higher. I mean, it's just like me whenever I was a kid. I dabbled around with moonshine, and I saw my cousin Rudy, you know, that cousin Rudy.
Yes.
Mr. Flip over a four-wheeler handlebar, all because, you know, he wanted to prove, like, his brother, he had big balls, and then wound up with a big old dent in his forehead, almost, and also his brother Jeff pointing and laughing when he went over the front of the hand. I'll never forget as long as I live. But, yeah, Rudy, he had, like, a cup of it, and he's like, you want to say something? Just like set it ablaze, and he's just like, "Ain't that fucking cool, man? Look at that shit." Now watch it. Takes out the match, drink, and just downs the whole thing. He's like, "Damn, brother, it's spicy. Shit. Oh, damn, it's hot, higher than I thought it was gonna be. God damn. Whoo, whoo."
Brilliant fellow.
Truly a connoisseur
Yeah.
of conversation. Truly.
Connoisseur of intellect.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, back to this shit.
Or it blows up her bottle of vodka, and the explosion knocks Luton to the ground. When she reaches for a rag so she can get a head start cleaning this whole mess up, it pulls down a block of knives, and one of them stabs her in the chest. It's right about then that Alex runs over to her house to check on her. He finds her on the floor bleeding to death, and after one final explosion from the oven knocks a chair over, which drives the knife in deeper, Ms. Luton finally dies. After she's gone, Alex stupidly grabs the knife, getting his fingerprints all over the murder weapon. Well,
Way to
don't
go,
drop
asshole.
it there, dude. Take that shit with you and bury it somewhere. Come on. The last four survivors all get together, even though they're still far from being friends.
Are you dick?
Although Carter and Billy grill Alex about who the next one on Death's list is, Alex says it doesn't matter. Shut the fuck up, you idiots. That kind of language and an increasing sense of desperation causes Carter to snap, and he puts the pedal to the metal.
May as well go out on my own free will, right?
As Carter speeds through the streets, Alex has a couple of premonitions about seatbelts breaking and passenger trains not breaking. As if on cue, Carter stops the car right in the middle of some train tracks. And don't look now, but shoot, motherfuckers! Billy, Clear, and Alex all file out of Carter's car while he stays seated, calmly waiting for his death. But at the last minute, he decides that it ain't his time. But that might not be for him to decide, because all of a sudden, his car won't start, and his doors won't open, and his seatbelt won't unbuckle. Ay caramba! Armed with his knowledge that the seatbelt will break, Alex intervenes and saves Carter's life right before the train goes all Back to the Future 3 on his Chevy Nova. I guess that one wasn't death-proof. Thank you, Editor Zorn, for that joke, because I don't know cars. Alex tells the others that Carter was in fact the next one on Death's checklist. But does that mean everyone's safe now? Or is Carter still at the top of the list, like Billy thinks?
You're dead! You're dead! And you ain't taking me with you!
Then travel alone, mofo. Billy gets a sudden half decapitation from a hunk of metal junk kicked up by the train. Dude, where's the top of my head? Maybe check behind the mail truck, Billy. Alex quickly logics out that because he intervened and saved Carter's life, Death skipped over him and went to the next person on the list, which was Billy. And after Billy, Alex is next. And after Alex, Clear is next. Oh no, what should they do?
Why don't you just get the fuck out of here?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, let's do that. And we can just end this scene here with a fade to black. Fuck it. Sometime later, Alex is hiding out in a woodsy cabin owned by Clear, and is doing everything he can think of to death-proof the interior. These kind of seem like some janky-ass safety measures though, Alex. Is this really the least dangerous setup you could think of? That looks unstable as shit. And why are you eating cat food? Is cat food safer than people food? Great, Lucy will be thrilled to hear it. While playing a game of Crumply Dumply with some newspaper, Alex sees a picture of those hotties from his class who had asked him to switch seats on the plane. And then he realizes that he never actually did in real life.
I never moved. Clear seat was in front of mine.
This is another point that's always kind of confused me a little bit, and I still don't fully get it. But I do know that gusts of wind mean Death is on the prowl. It's now going after Clear, who's the next on its list for reals, with some zappy lightning and a wacky waving power line. Alex heads out to help Clear right as Agent Shrek and co. roll up from the swamp. They're still chasing after him because, you know, his fingerprints were all over the knife they pulled out of Val Luton's chest. Idiot. But Alex gets away from the cops in a fucking canoe? What? Yo, Rockstar needs to make GTA Venice pronto. As Alex shakes his tails and runs through the woods to Clear's house, the wild and out power line somehow manages to turn her whole upstairs into a full-blown pyrotechnics show. I don't know what's causing those explosions, but they all look very staged. Clear escapes into her garage and gets into her car, then decides that the safest way out is by reversing straight on through the garage door. Shockingly, that doesn't work, I said sarcastically, and she winds up trapped with a beam through her windshield. Alex arrives to find Clear being harassed by the world's most persistent power line. He engages in a shovel fight with it, like he's out of ammo playing Day of Defeat, but his efforts only lead to another series of unfortunate events.
I like the Day of Defeat reference.
Fire has gotten involved as well. Alex tells Clear that he's going to grab the power line so she can get out of the car before it explodes.
It'll skip you and it'll all be over.
Although she cries for him not to, he goes ahead and does it anyway, right as the car explodes and blows both of them to the ground. Is that it then? Did Alex die? We're fading to white, so yes? Actually, no. Although originally, yes. The original ending did have Alex dying right there in Clear's driveway, and it was followed by a denouement showing Clear giving birth to a child she had made with him. There were some other deleted scenes where it was implied that the two of them boned on a beach, and where it showed that Clear was pregnant. So in the original ending, where both Clear and Carter survived, they were finally able to beat death by bringing new life into the world. Although that concept was removed from this film, they would explore it again in Final Destination 2. As for this original ending, Bob Shea had it changed after test screenings to the much more punchy and less schlocky ending that we all know and love. That maybe makes up for the time he changed the ending of the first Nightmare movie to include that awful shot of a sex doll being pulled through a window. The real ending, which was filmed in reshoots that cost a few extra $1 million, takes place 6 months later. In it, Alex, Clear, and Carter, all looking pretty different, are alive and well and finally fulfilling their trip to Paris. They sit at a cafe and toast the ones who didn't make it, celebrating the fact that they beat Death's design and have won a new lease on life. But Alex isn't completely satisfied yet. He breaks out his crackpot map and points out that although he intervened to save Clear's life, no one actually intervened to save his. so shouldn't he still be at the top of Death's list? Carter acknowledges that Alex may have a point, but he's not too concerned for his own safety.
For all I know, it could circle back and get us all again. But I am the safest fucker in the world because you're still next.
Don't speak too soon, Carter, because it's time for things to get spooky. Yeah, bring on the breeze and the foreboding flames. Alex tries to leave the others so they can be safe, but as he walks away from them, a near accident with a bus triggers yet another Rube Goldberg death contraption that leads to a big old 180 sign swinging down to kill him. Thankfully, Carter intervenes and saves him by knocking him to the ground.
So who's next?
You's next, Carter. The movie cuts to
Bye.
black right before the sign hits him, but the kill is confirmed in Final Destination 2. And also, come on, Carter obviously died there. Excellent last-minute kill, too. Death may be coming for us all, but how many did it catch up to during Final Destination? Let's find out and get to the numbers.
Good one.
Nice.
Good one, James.
A record-shattering 292 people died in Final Destination. Obviously, I don't know the demographic breakdown of all the 287 plane victims, but aside from them, 3 men and 2 women died, so we can put them on the pie chart in some barely perceptible wedges. With a runtime of 98 minutes, we had a kill on average technically every 20.14 seconds. But yeah, you can see here why averages aren't always useful. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Billy Hitchcock. I almost went with Terry, but I've always loved how the effect of this death looks. It's the one kill in this first film that hints towards just how gory the series is going to get. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to Valerie Luton. I know all Final Destination deaths are convoluted, and that's kind of the point. But even with later deaths that are more fantastical, I find them more believable than Val's unrealistic reaction and her trail of flammable vodka. And for the Final Destination franchise, I've got a new award to give out each episode. The Primo Premonition, which will go to the coolest death that takes place only in a vision, since those don't go on the kill count. For the inaugural award, I'll give it to Alex Browning himself. The crash of Flight 180 doesn't have as many interesting individual deaths as the catastrophes in the sequels, so I've just got to give it to the main character burning up like that. It's pretty damn shocking the first time you watch this movie. And that's it. Final Destination came out in 2000 and would be followed by a steady stream of sequels that we'll start looking at next week with part 2. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count. I'd like to thank some patrons like Bright TV, Daniel Molds, Victor Reyes, Jennifer, and John Stanford. Like I said before, the Sunday Kill Counts are over right now. For Final Destination, I'm just going to focus on making these episodes the best I can. That means 1 kill count a week for at least the month of August. But don't worry, we've got some fun times ahead. Thanks everyone, be good people.
All right.
Well,
292.
It's quite a few.
The plane crash, man.
Oh yeah, well,
and that's a fear of mine, dude. Flying every time I fly, and my coping mechanism used to be to get blackout drunk. It no longer is because I landed and puked on myself, and the guy sitting beside of me when.
Oh
yeah. So I cut out
No. Well, I've flown a few times in my life. The farthest I've ever flown, I've flown up to Toronto, and I've flown to Cancun. And the one for Cancun scared me the most because the majority of the flight went over top of the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And looking down and seeing nothing but blue in every direction.
Unsettling.
Very unsettling because I was just like, we could go down and we would all die.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we go underwater, the pressure from the pressure on the fuselage will keep us in here unless the door is already open. And this ain't the Hudson. If we go down out here, there's very little chance.
Sharks in the water.
Well, sharks are one thing, but I would more worry about the drowning and also the panic. Because when people panic, they do some stupid things.
Yes.
For instance, there was one I heard about. This person panicked that that the ship they were on was going down. It was a ship in the middle of the I think it was they were sailing to Nassau, the Bahamas from Boca Raton, Florida, I believe, and they had an inflatable raft that could seat 6 people. the guy in a panic pulled it out of the carrier that it was in, but the carrier got caught on the side on one of the hooks that went into the latch that where the storage container was, and pretty much ripped the whole boat on one side, and it was unusable, and the 3 people on board the ship died from drowning.
Yeah. Actually, from what I've heard, I don't think it would go the way you're worried about it going. If a plane falls out of the sky and hits the water, it's basically the equivalent of just hitting the ground.
Yeah, like concrete.
It's pretty much going to kill most everybody on board when it hits the water.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not going to be as slow, horrible death as you think it is, but it's still going to be a shitty way to go because you're going to be scared on the way down to the water, and then you're going to be gone.
Or ground. Either way, coming down from a plane is not.
Yeah.
No,
I think what you would want to do is if the plane was crashing, like, they're going to try to keep everybody in their seats, but if you're smart, if no one else is smart, you're going to get up and pull the fucking release door and make sure the door's off of it, and then from there, it's just like pray that you actually survive the impact into the water.
Yeah.
And then you actually have an escape hatch to get out of. So, but
well,
I wouldn't want to be.
And you're conscious.
Me personally, I would just stay in my seat and be like, please let me die when I hit the water because I do not want to be in the ocean. I will be way more scared being in the ocean, worrying about getting eaten by a shark or actually being eaten by a shark.
Just know this,
than if I just die in this plane impact.
For me, when it comes to planes. One fact that I've always taken comfort in is that even though a death in that would be very, very scary, the odds of it happening are far fewer than they are in a car accident. You're more because I think it's 1 in 3,000 for car accidents versus 1 in 4.8 million for airplanes. I think that's the number, but.
Yeah,
but still, I don't want to test it.
I'm clammy-handed, sweating, tripping balls the whole time I'm in a plane.
I would much rather be flying my own plane if I was going to fly. Like I know I'm eventually going to get on a plane at least once, probably if I get the chance to go to Japan, maybe a couple times to go to Europe as well. At some point.
That's such a long flight.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably gonna give myself sleeping pills and just go to sleep while I'm on the plane.
I would do something because.
Oh, dude, no! I'd stay up and watch movies and play games if I was allowed to have my my Nintendo Switch out. I'd just be like, all right, hey, you want to play some Mario? Oh, he's asleep. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
my fat ass could fit on a plane.
Something about the way my brain works just tells me that if I could fly like a jet fighter, like even though it would be faster and probably way more intense, like if I'm in control of it. I would be less scared. Not to mention they have fucking ejector seats with parachutes on them. So if something does start to go wrong.
That's what I don't fucking get.
Yeah, man. The fact that they don't give everyone.
Do they not have parachutes and some kind of technique, like even if it
on a
costs
passenger
more,
liner? Yeah, it's completely idiotic in my opinion. Like, in my opinion, that's basically just not putting seatbelts on the plane.
Yeah,
the seatbelts aren't going to do shit. Like it's like not putting seatbelts in a car, rather.
Yeah.
Like, you have a seatbelt in the car to try to keep you from dying if something happens. On a plane, they have some half-ass stuff that they basically know isn't going to do shit for you if the plane crashes. And
it's like, oh, well,
but
what if the parachute
if everyone's fucking bottom of their floor dropped out their seat when the plane was on its way down, and they could pull a ripcord, and if they had systems set so, they would go in an order to where, they're not going to bump into each other and hit each other and stuff like that, like, you could save probably most of the passengers on the plane that way if the plane was going to crash. As opposed to, like, usually when planes crash, it's lucky if one person actually survives the crash.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's complete bullshit. And that's another reason that I don't want to fly on a passenger liner if I don't have to.
Well, that's why...
And, like, I would be much more comfortable flying in a jet with an ejector seat with a fucking parachute.
Well, Elon Musk, that's the thing about Elon Musk. Elon Musk has talked about getting into the jet airlining business and going not fully electric with it, but at least making advancements that will push airliners in the right direction, because a lot of airliners are still using older planes that they dude, I went through the Tri-Cities airport the other day, and American Airlines, kid you not, American Airlines, their airplane that flew out of there was still using props. You know, propellers. And I'm like, is that still safe? How old is that plane? Found out it's from like the 1960s. I'm just like, I am not flying on that plane.
Yeah.
That's why me and my mom fly Delta.
And dude, another thing, 18-wheelers on the fucking freeway have all these fucking extra wheels in case one of them blows.
Yeah.
To keep something catastrophic from happening, but planes can't have a second set of fucking wings just in case, or like, you know, some backup fucking engines.
Or just something, you know?
Yeah, it's
Well, usually
it's
what
absurd.
they do, if it's a 2-engine plane, or if it's a 2-engine jet plane, what they do is...
I'm getting nervous just talking about this, just so you know.
Okay, yeah. Whenever one engine goes out, they usually adjust the flaps and increase the speed in the other engine. And they reduce flaps on one side to rebalance the plane and make an emergency landing as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Well, like, say a wing just gets torn off during, like, a horrible storm or something, you know, by, like, lightning or whatever, you know?
Well, yeah.
It's like having a second one folded up against the plane that could actually swing out into place underneath that would probably highly increase the chances of being able to make an emergency landing.
Well, it honestly, I would want to
but
speak to an aeronautical engineer over that and see what they could come up with and see if there's a way for possible advancements in the
But you got to admit, at the very least, like, the fact that if the plane is definitely going to crash, all they tell you is get in your seat and put on your oxygen mask is kind of bullshit, because they're like, get ready to die,
you
assholes.
You do know what the oxygen masks do, right?
Keep you from passing out?
No, they get you high.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because they pump nothing but pure oxygen to it, and pure oxygen gets people high.
Yeah.
And it makes them not worry.
It's to make you not worry about the fact that you're about to die.
Exactly.
Hold on, guys.
Like,
I'm getting fucked up right now.
Official explanation for it.
You see, what you're breathing right now is still 70% nitrogen.
The official explanation / what everyone.
A bunch of oxygen, just breathing fast.
Yeah.
You do realize by doing that you could pass out.
I'm trying to get fucked up, man.
It's called hyperventilating. Anyways, the official explanation / what everyone assumes is that you have to have an oxygen mask because you're so high up in the air that the oxygen's thinner. But honestly, if the plane's already plummeting, you're going to be back to a point where you can breathe pretty soon.
Yeah.
So the mask ain't going to do shit for you.
Let's move on from this. Let's bring this video to a close.
Getting too anxious about talking about airplanes.
Before we give ourselves panic attacks. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for tuning in. This was Final Destination, the original Final Destination kill count by James A. Janice and the fellows and his fellows at Dead Meat. Good Lord, what a kill count! Record breaking 292. I don't think they're going to break that record anytime soon. Well, they might. I don't know. Depends on how many died.
Bring in Godzilla.
The second and third aren't going to break it, but maybe the fourth or fifth. I can't remember what happens in those.
I think the fifth one will. I think the fifth one will, because it's an accident that happens on a suspension bridge.
Yeah, that could then.
That might.
Possibly.
Well, it just depends if James is willing to count the people on the bridge, because he's spoken in the past, like, people are so anal retentive about the amount of bodies in the movies. It's like, you missed one here, you missed one there. He just gets to the point where he's just like, I just don't give a fuck. It's like, if I miss one or two, it doesn't really matter. It's like, oh, you missed that body over there in the alleyway. Is that a body, or is he sleeping? Which is it? Do you know? No? Then shut the hell up. That's pretty much what he's at sometimes.
I don't blame him.
I don't either. The guy goes through the effort of making these videos. And
it's like everybody who makes videos knows you cannot please everyone on the internet.
Well,
there is no reason to try.
He goes through to put his pompadour up.
Oh, dude.
Alone, you know.
No, what are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about, dude? He's like Joel McHale. His hair naturally coiffs that way.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, because I remember one time Joel McHale was talking. He's like, you know, people ask me what I put in my hair to make it just do this. I just brush it up, and that's it. It stays that way.
Well, that's probably why, you know, he had the fan. Fan was helping push
anybody that has that easy of a time with their hair, fuck you.
Oh, I can attest to that, man. I can't grow my hair out much past this because it just gets unmanageable.
Mine literally ties itself in knots that you have to almost cut out with scissors sometimes because they get so bad.
Damn, dude.
I have to condition the shit out of my hair to keep it from being an asshole to me.
Jesus. All right. Well, if y'all want to see the original video, link is in the description down below. And if you want to see more from Dead Meat, I mean, it's got a multitude of these kill counts on here, and also the Dead Meat podcast. I mean, Jesus Christ, the guy just puts out a lot of stuff. And if you want to see more from us, we have a subscribe button down there along with a bell that you can ring. If you want to leave a like on the video, we greatly appreciate it. And if you want to leave a comment down below, we would also greatly appreciate that. And until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
I'm Hat Guy.
And we will see you all in the next one. Peace out.